episode 3! I'm at episode 3 in the great rewatch of the Wheel of Time. Time. If I give it an epic title, does that make it sound more epic than just, like, rewatching a television show and taking notes on it? I don't know. But okay. Spoiler warning. This is a rewatch of the first season of the Wheel of Time TV show. So obviously, this video is going to have spoilers for the entire first season of the show. As far as the books are concerned, I think my spoilers go through to Lord of Chaos, which is book 6 of the Wheel of Time. So if you've read the first 6 books and watched the first season, you're good to go. Otherwise, get out of here. I hate spoiling people. I also feel so weird saying that to people on my channel. But yes, I don't want to spoil you, so if you haven't finished the first season or the first 6 books, go away. But for the rest of you, let's go.
Let's be nerdy, bitch. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy. Let's be nerdy, bitch. Let's be nerdy, bitch. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy, bitch.
So this cold open, this badass 90s-centric cold open is, okay, well, it's badass. But no real new thoughts on it, except I kind of just want to show it. Also, though, we never do see the scene that was in the trailer. That, like, the scene that takes place in this same pool. The one with the Gwen, that she's coming up from the pool with the paint on her face. That scene was not only used in the trailer, it was used as, like, the thumbnail for the Amazon Prime page for Wheel of Time for a while. So they know it's a good shot. It just never showed up in the show. Which is interesting. I held out hope for the entire season that we would see that scene, like in a flashback or something. And I guess, I don't know. I guess I'm still kind of holding out hope that we'll see it eventually. Like, it could be a flashback, a test, like or a dream sequence or something. It's such a good scene. We should see it. Oh, one other thought I had while watching this scene. Nynaeve can hold her breath really, really well. I did mention this in my episode 7 breakdowns, but the reveal about Perrin's feelings for Egwene just kind of ruins these scenes between them in this episode. Like, it retroactively ruins these scenes for me. And I do know that his feelings for her, it's just a crush, it's not serious, but I was loving these scenes because it was a lovely platonic friendship between genders, which is just, we don't see enough of that on TV. And it just, they're both trying to care for and protect each other. And now when I'm looking at these scenes, I'm reading his crush into it, and it's not as heartwarming as it was before. This is not a new observation by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know if I've mentioned it on my channel. I've heard lots of other content creators talk about this, though. If you look at Nynaeve's clothes, her dress is yellow, and her coat is green, and you book readers, you know, like, I love the details in the costumes. It's perfect. This scene, the scene that I actually can't watch, like, it's one of those ones I have to cover the screen or look away. There are far too many visible intestines in this show. But okay, we have a wolf eating at Layla's guts here. And in my episode 3 breakdown, at that time, I know along with plenty of other people, had the suspicion that Layla was a dark friend. And, or something, anyway, because of the angle of the hammer during the Trolloc attack in the Two Rivers. But we all, like, there was something. We thought there was something suspicious about her. But season's over. That appears to at least not have been the case at all, which means the symbolism of this dream is probably just the wolf as, like, a manifestation of Perrin's guilt, which, you know, it works. It's fine. This cage with the dead Aiel in it. Did they build this cage, like, specifically for the Aiel? Like, it fits him perfectly. So, did they kill the Aiel and then take him to, like, a blacksmith or, I don't know, cage maker or whatever and say something like, make a cage that specifically fits this one dead body? No, don't remove the arrows. We want to make sure everybody knows exactly how he died. That feels excessive to me. Okay, so Tom steals from Matt here via the pickpocket. Like, it's not a direct steal, but I don't know how I didn't make this connection before, but it jumped out at me on this rewatch. Matt is a thief in this incarnation of his character. He stole from his friend in the first episode, and the conversation that he has with Pat and Fane afterwards makes it seem like that was not at all an isolated incident. Show Matt is a person who steals, and not only steals, but apparently steals from his friends. And Shomak gets stolen from in this episode. And not only stolen from, but he's stolen from the person who steals from him is eventually a person who becomes his friend. It's an interesting parallel. And of course, this is not just show Matt, right? Like, this is the beginning of him becoming Dagger Matt. He just picked up that dagger last episode. So he's not quite himself. And I do wonder if, like, when this happened, part of him was wondering if he deserved this, especially given the toxic parenting that he received. Okay, this grossness here. I noticed this time around when Dana says, I can tell when a lad wants something. And then she chops at, I mean, it's a pig's foot, right? But it kind of looks like something phallic. And I don't know, this time around it cracked me up. But okay, Dana gets them to work chopping wood. And Rand starts chopping wood in his coat? What? That can't be comfortable. Take off your coat. That looks really, really hot. Matt, of course, is a bit of a dick in this scene. And given how his backstory has changed, I do wonder if non-book readers noticed this, or if they just thought, so I guess Matt's a bit of a dick. Like, he's not a bad guy in the show, but his goodness is exemplified by how good he is to his sisters. And in the absence of those sisters, I don't know how people can see this behavior as out of character. Like, there's only been 2 previous episodes, and we don't see him being particularly good to his friends in these episodes. In episode 1, he steals from one of his friends, and then he takes money that he doesn't need from his other friends. Like, the money they gave him was to buy lanterns that he no longer needed. Like, he didn't need money to buy those lanterns because he's already gotten that money from stealing from his other friend. Basically, the one thing in the show that is used to show us that he's a good guy at heart is gone. So I'm wondering how this came across to non-readers. I will say, though, this does give more credence to that whole, like, the darkness in him that Moraine refers to later on. So there's that. We get the first inkling of Perrin's superior senses here. Like, he hears the Tuathon approach before Egwene does. And, okay, in the sound that they edit in here, there are wolf howls? Just, why? Why wolf howls? I think it's because his ability to hear is tied in with his wolf abilities, but my brain this time around was like, what were the Tuathon howling? Like, what? I don't know, I guess it could be their dogs, too. I don't know, it's just weird, though. Wolf howls. This shot! I love this shot. And also this line read. I'm gonna actually risk putting some audio in here.
I let your friend off an hour ago. Figured he'd join you.
This actress is so good. Her name, okay, let me check my notes. Her name is zukaoyle. And I looked her up. She is a musical actress, which now makes me a little bit mad that we didn't get to see her, or hear her, I guess, sing a duet with Tom. We have Tom in this episode, and we have this amazing actress who just killed this episode. And she can sing. Can you imagine? That would have been awesome. Or, I don't know. Actually, if I'm thinking, it probably would have been really cheesy, but she's so, so good. I talked about this in my episode breakdowns, but she blew this part, like, out of the water. Even what Tom says here about hair color, about how you rarely see this color of hair outside of the waist, and hair color is one of the few things that you can use to tell where a person's from. It's interesting. Granted, we only see them interact very little, but it's interesting that he never says anything about Rand. Like, he never mentions Rand's hair color to Rand or Matt or anything. Dana lists the things that she wants to see in the world. She wants to see the Stone of Tyr, the Lion Throne of Caemlyn, the Ogier Steading, even a Trolloc. This time when I was listening to that, I had the thought that she's probably actually seen a Trolloc, which I found, like, she's a dark friend, she's evil, but it made me sad, because of all the things that she's listed, the one thing that she's probably seen is horrible. And okay, this scene. Rand doesn't realize he's flirting here, or at least that he's sending signals of some kind. They're sitting on beds, alone in a room. Their knees are almost touching. He's leaning in. He's baring his soul. Oblivious Rand, which actually makes his obliviousness, like, when Min starts sitting on his lap, a little bit more believable. Because, seriously, dude, you're sending out signals here. Now here, in this moment, Dana reveals that she's a dark friend. And I've heard some people say that it's dumb of her to reveal this at this moment, but I don't know. There's the rule of cool. This moment was chilling and awesome, and I love just the turn in her, like, everything, her body language, her facial expression, it changed. And to have to have her continue her ruse, we would have lost this moment, and I would hate to have lost it. But also, B, what was she supposed to do, right? She had played her hand. She tried to seduce him, thinking that it would work. And once she's played that card, it would be really unnatural for her to stay in the room with him after she's been very, very plainly rejected. I suppose she could have left and locked him in, but that would have been just as much of a reveal as this. Like, it's the same thing, so, I don't know, this makes sense to me. But, okay, if we're talking things that don't make sense, here. This moment, when they run into her, like they've been running around the town and she's been chasing them, and then she, like, rounds a corner and they run into her and she's got this sword. On this rewatch, which I have to say is like my 7th maybe or 8th rewatch of this episode, because like this particular episode was one of my favorites. I loved this episode. But this time watching it, I was like, wait, what? Why did they stop? Why didn't they turn and run? She's got a sword! That's not a gun! They can just run away! It's weird because the visual language of this scene is just, it's too familiar to me. A person holds up a weapon to you and you freeze because the weapon is dangerous. I literally never noticed it until this time around. Rand, Matt, that's a sword! What do you think she's gonna do? Just run away! And then, okay, the final thought that I had on this rewatch was, how much did Tom overhear? He heard enough to know that Dana is a dark friend, but did he hear anything about the dragon? Because she talked about the dragon a lot, so, I don't know, curious minds want to know, because it would inform their conversations later, but he doesn't ever bring it up. I mean, although we don't hear them talk that much, so I don't know. Anyway, I'm curious. How much did he hear? So yeah, those are my thoughts. Some things I missed, some new and some old observations on a rewatch of episode 3. Are you rewatching the episodes? Have you picked up on anything new? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my content and want to support me, please consider checking out my Patreon. My patrons, I have heard that they never litter, that they always look around for a trash can, and if they can't find one, they hold on to their trash until they can find one. That is how awesome they are. And I love and adore and am grateful for all of you. Thank you so much. And with that, I will end this here. So please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!